Welcome in. It's McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Jack's 94.5, 7 a.m. here, December 17th. I am back after a 3-day break. Appreciate everyone's patience and prayers, by the way. Did see one gentleman at Hollywood Studios on Sunday. No, it would have been Saturday. No, Sunday. And he basically was like, hey, dude, we heard that you were bringing your kids to Disney. And I just want you to know I am actually at Disney, and I heard that you were coming, and hey, roll tide. We were sitting right outside Rock and Roller Coaster. I can tell you exactly where it was. And he goes, we did say a prayer for you because we did that at one point. My kids are grown now, and he pointed over to him. But there was a point where we absolutely felt like we needed to say a prayer prior to a Disney run. And we needed it because we had our flight canceled yesterday. Excuse me, Monday. And we couldn't even get out. There was a flight every hour on the hour from Orlando to Atlanta. And we could not get on one because the flight that got canceled was a 767. If you don't know what that is, it's the one with 2 aisles. A big one. 232. Yeah. A big boy. And it was packed, and every single flight beyond it was oversold. So the earliest flight we could get on was 7 a.m. yesterday, and I was telling Brian and Frank as I walked into the studio today, I said, look, I'm putting in for reimbursements from Delta. And do you know what an extra day at Disney costs? I mean, we were trying to go to the airport, so we did go to the airport. It was a mess. But we're back.
Are we triple dig or are we quadruple dig?
I don't know if we quite got the quad.
Okay.
Quad dig would be tough.
That's Disney.
It is, but we're not that aggressive. I mean, I'm sure it could be done rather easily, but we operated we blew it all out on Sunday, thinking that was our last day. There was nothing else to buy. There was nothing else to do.
Then you had to come back.
But it was great. Unfortunately, though, we got back a day later than we wanted to, but we had a good time. We made the most of the last day, and we. I told my wife, I told my kids, hey, today the kids could care less. But today we are going to make lemonade. We got handed some lemons this morning with the flight cancellation, but we will make lemonade. A lot that we're going to get to today. I have not had a chance to address what's going on with the Kalen DeBoer saga, if you will, because that's what it is. It's a little manufactured, but there is some drama that I think is kind of encouraging. I'll give you an update on that. I told my kids I wasn't working at Disney. I was working for 14 straight weekends. I worked 7 days a week for over 14 straight weeks between podcasts on Sunday, 5 days a week radio, television on Tuesday, games on Saturday, traveling to and from. It's been a really long season. It's always so fun, but it always is exhausting. So I told my kids, I am putting the phone away at Disney. And sure enough, Michigan fires Sharon Moore. Not a whole lot to address with that situation. I was on the air when it went down. But here's what's going on or what has gone on. Here's the timeline of what's transpired there. And I only know this because during rest time, I was working the phones all over the place. So Michigan fires Sharon Moore. 2 years ago, when Jim Harbaugh ultimately took the Los Angeles Charger job, do you know who was number one on their list to succeed Jim Harbaugh?
It wasn't Sharon Moore?
Oh, no. Come on.
What?
Amazing,
but he's
right?
their guy. He's a Michigan man.
True.
Except one of us stayed in the wreckage, brother.
Correct. He also went to Oklahoma. So...
Oh, well, okay.
No, he was not their first choice. Their first choice was Kalen DeBoer. And what I think is funny about this is there's this whole notion, there's this whole idea that Kalen DeBoer had Michigan known and had a little more clarity about Jim Harbaugh than they could have gone after Kalen DeBoer 2 years ago. Well, I can tell you this. There is not a soul in this country that thought Jim Harbaugh was staying at Michigan after the 2023 national championship. Not one person. It was the worst kept secret in America. Everybody knew he was going to the NFL. It was just a matter of what team. Was it going to be the Raiders? Was it going to be the Chargers? Where was it going to be? He was going. Because he knew a show cause was coming. He knew all this other stuff was coming. He wasn't staying. It was very, very obvious. It was over. It was the last hurrah, the last dance. Everyone knew he was leaving, including Kalen DeBoer and including Kalen DeBoer's representation. So this whole rumor of, oh, well, Bama just beat Michigan to the punch a couple years ago. That's not exactly the way it went down. Kalen DeBoer had just finished coaching the Washington Huskies in the national championship game against the Michigan Wolverines. And there was something about leaving for the team that just beat him that made, I think, the whole situation completely unlikely. I don't think he wanted to entertain that. The optics weren't good. I mean, that's like, to me, that doesn't feel right. You know, like, I can't beat him, join him mentality. Like, that doesn't feel right. So as a result, he chose Alabama over Michigan 2 years ago. So I think what people don't realize is people think that the timeline is what led to him taking Alabama before Michigan. That's not the case. He ran to the Alabama job when he could have had the Michigan job if he wanted it 2 years ago. So let's set the record straight there. Then let's go to now what's going on in Tuscaloosa and the narrative that Kalen DeBoer is unhappy, or that Kalen DeBoer and his family is unhappy. Like, where is this coming from? Like, national writers that are clearly, quote, in the know. Like, that's not the case. Like, it's not the case at all. Like, Kalen DeBoer ran to this challenge, like sprinted to this challenge. Got the same amount of money at Washington. Could have stayed at Washington. Could have stayed there. Had the offer from Alabama matched by the Washington Huskies and said, nope, I want that challenge. I want that grind. That's going to be a beast, and it's going to be super difficult. But guess what? I want that. Let me run towards the fire. Because some people run towards the fire. Some people don't. Some people run away. Some people run towards. Kalen DeBoer is one of those that's running towards the fire. So he knew what was coming. Now, did he know the extent of which the head coach at Alabama, the importance of that role? Did he understand that it is the most powerful position in the state of Alabama, superseding that of the governor, the lieutenant governor, both senators? The head coach of Alabama probably moves the needle the most. I mean, whether you like that or not, it's just the reality. There's a reason why the coach at Auburn is currently serving as a senator and is a runaway to become the next governor. Football coaches carry a lot of weight here. And when you can't coach anymore, you go into politics. That's kind of the way it goes. All right. So fast forwarding just a little bit. This whole idea that Kalen DeBoer is seeking other opportunities because he's unhappy, or it's harder than he thought, or it's been a challenge. Oh, he hasn't been fully embraced. And like, that's not reality. Like, you can listen to the writers that cover the sport nationally. You can listen to all this other stuff. Like, I'm just telling you, he knew what he was signing up for. And while, yes, difficult, also at the same time, something that he has fully embraced that challenge. Okay? So that moves me to the next point. Michigan now has a job opening. Michigan has a great job. John, we're on the same page here, right? Like, that's a great job.
Absolutely. I don't know if it's 1, 2, or 3, but it's definitely in the top 5.
Top 5, top
Yes.
10, wherever you rank it.
Correct, yes.
Like, it's a fantastic job.
Yes.
It's a great job. There's not a soul out there, Bama fan, Ohio State fan would tell you, yep, that's a pretty good job. Now, is it as good as an Ohio State? Probably not. You know, is it as good as a Georgia? I don't know. You know, where it's all, beauty's kind of in the eye of the beholder. And there's a reason why Matt Campbell turned down multiple NFL head coaching jobs to stay in Ames, Iowa. Like, there's a beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Now, ultimately, now he's gone to Penn State, but some people view jobs. Could Coach Snyder have gotten a different job than Kansas State for a long time? Yeah, he probably could have. Could Frank Beamer have gotten a job other than Blacksburg, Virginia, at Virginia Tech? Yeah, probably. Like, he thought that was the best place. Like, he loved it. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder a little bit. So it just depends a little bit on what people acknowledge. But I think everyone with a level head acknowledges that Michigan's a fantastic job. I think everyone also knows that Michigan has remarkably deep pockets. They were able to front load their quarterback a ridiculous amount of money. I think one of the richest guys in America is dating and or is married to a Michigan alum. Like, this is real. I mean, it's helpful. It's very, very helpful. And there's another thing that we would all notice. What's a tougher path to the playoff? The grind that you have to experience in the SEC, or the path that Michigan has to play in the Big Ten right now, where you got to win 2 or 3 games and you're in the playoff? Like, how many good, difficult games did Michigan have to win this year? Let's go through it quickly, because Michigan finished 16th, right? Thereabouts in the college football playoff rankings. And a lot of people said, well, if they beat Ohio State, they're in. And I happen to think that's 100% true. They finished 18th. Excuse me. Tell me where their good win was. Quickly. It wasn't at Oklahoma. Was it at Nebraska, who finished the season 7-5? Solid win. Credit where credit is due. Was it at home against Wisconsin? Was it at home against Washington, who finished 8-4? Was it at Michigan State, who went 4-8? Was it
USC? Oh wait, nope, they lost that one.
Oh yeah, I'll get to that one.
Okay.
Was it at Northwestern, who finished 6-6? Was it home against Purdue, where they won by 5, who went 2-10? Oh, you know what? It was at Maryland, who went 4-8. That was what it was. No, they literally did not beat a team that was over 500 this year, and yet we're 1 game away from the college football playoff. Why? Because Michigan. They got beat convincingly by SC, a team that, quote, can't stop the run. All Michigan does is run it, and yet they lost that game 31-13. So I'm not trying to sit there and say that, like, Michigan has this or that or whatnot, but it's a great job, and guess what? It's easier than Bama. It's an easier job than Alabama, for sure. I don't think anybody would tell you that. The expectation level at Alabama, very, very high. The expectation level at Michigan, yeah, high, for sure. I think the level of intensity is not what it once was, because guess what? After the Michigan game, they go and do whatever it is they do after the game and get prepared for the Lions the next day. You know, whatever it is. Or the Tigers. So, all that is to say, Michigan has gone all in on Kalen DeBoer. All in. Blank check. Whatever you want. Literally anything you want. All in. And Kalen DeBoer will not engage. Won't. Kalen DeBoer's agents will, of course. I mean, that's what they do. Of course they're going to engage. Kalen DeBoer has said, I'm not interested. He publicly issued a statement saying, I'm not interested. Not interested. But there is a group of folks at Michigan that refuse to allow him to say no. Like, refuse. Kalen will say, I'm not listening. Not talking to you. I don't want to go. Like, we embrace this opportunity. I want to finish what I started here. I'm not going anywhere. Well, but listen to this. What about this? What if we did this for you? What if we gave you ownership of the big house? What if we give you 10% ownership? You can get 10% of the concessions at the big house. I don't know if that's really in their proposal. But I'm just saying, like, they're going to that extent. And they believe that they still have a chance. It might be at 1.1%. You're saying there's a chance. So they will continue to pursue no matter what. Until, for whatever reason, they just decide, all right, we don't have enough time. Here's the thing. Time is on Michigan's side here. They don't need to make a move. That's why what happened with Sharon Moore was in many ways like terrible timing and yet at the same time ideal timing. Because you already have the early signing class locked up. The portal opens up the second the coach is fired, but everybody's kind of in no man's land right now anyways, so you can't really go anywhere just yet. You don't even know what your next coach is going to be, so the next portal will open up on January 2nd, so you got some time to kind of figure that out. So Michigan has time on their side. So if Bama goes out and wins this weekend, like I would imagine them moving on and probably going to their next candidate, who in all likelihood is going to be Jed Fish, Kenny Dillingham, or Jeff Brom. That's the next three. If Alabama were to lose this weekend, I think they'll probably they'll probably come back at him again. Full court press. Do you want to do it? You want to do it? It's hard. See, you just lost. It's hard. You want to do it? To which I think he'll say, no, I still don't want to do it. But I don't blame them for trying. Why wouldn't you? If you're not operating in if you're not operating with time is of the essence mentality, then why would you rush? If I were Michigan, I'd drag my feet. I'd wait as long as I could, and I would kind of see how it all plays out. But that's the most up-to-date story. Do I think ultimately at the end of the day here at 7:16 a.m. on Wednesday, December 17th, I think Kalen DeBoer is going to be here for the long term. I think Alabama will make it. We'll extend him. I think Alabama will do whatever they have to do. If you actually look at the numbers, the amount of money that Alabama spent on football last year, and I think The Athletic did this, the Alabama spent $112 million on football last year. The next closest team in all of the college football playoff field is like not even within $20-25 million. Like the amount of resources and the investment and what you get as the head coach of Alabama is second to none. It's amazing. So I think Kalen acknowledges that. I think Kalen also wants to finish what he started. I think he is a hyper competitor, and I think he wants his legacy at Alabama to be one of having won and competed for championships and given all he's got. And I don't think he's the type that wants to leave after just a couple years in which they didn't finish the job, where they didn't get it all done. So I think he's going to be back. I've been saying that from the get-go. I've maintained that stance, but doesn't mean Michigan won't continue to try. And who can blame him? He's a phenomenal coach, and he's highly attractive. So I just wanted to make sure you guys knew exactly what was going on with the Michigan saga, if you will, and how it relates to Kalen DeBoer, because I don't know if everyone knows exactly what's going on, but felt like our listeners deserve to know the most up-to-date. Bear, are we up to speed? We caught up?
It feels that way. I think a lot of fans are probably not going to like the fact that win or lose, it's not going to be done after Saturday, that Michigan's going to keep coming after. But I've said the other day on Morning Jocks that I feel some of the fans that are questioning, why do they keep coming after? I think some of those feel guilty for trying to run him off multiple times throughout the year. And now they're like, why would they want him? Why would he not stick around? Well, didn't you kind of fire him at least twice this year? I think some of their guilt is kind of coming out with that. But also, he didn't strike me as the guy that would be wanting to leave so quickly. Like if this were year 6, okay, maybe. I still probably wouldn't see it because I still think he would feel like the job's not done. And here we are only 2 years in, hadn't really gotten a lot of the players that he would fully want in. And also he hadn't recruited a quarterback that he wanted to actually start yet. So there's still time for Kalen DeBoer to put his stamp on this team. So why would he leave?
I don't think he's going to. I think he's too competitive. I think he's too competitive. I think he wants the grind. He embraces the grind. And remember, he could have been Michigan's coach 2 years ago if he really wanted to be. That's what people don't realize. Oh, well, it was a timing thing. No, it wasn't. Everyone and their brother knew Jim Harbaugh was going to the NFL. All he had to do was drag his feet, and he could have had Michigan. And he didn't. Why? Optics of having just lost him in the national championship. And 2, embracing the grind that is being the head coach at Alabama. I think it's great. But wanted to give you the most up-to-date with everything I'd heard, the timeline. And here's the other thing that people are like, well, why if he said no, why do they keep going after him? What would you do? Honestly. Like if your job as the athletic director at Michigan, if your job is dependent on landing a premier coaching candidate, the guy, and guess what? If it doesn't go right with everything that's gone on in the athletic department, like you could be out of the job. What would you do? I'd go all in for the best candidate. And if I can't get Kirby Smart, I can't get Ryan Day, I can't get, who are the other, Marcus Freeman? Like, who are the other guys that you'd rather have? Like Kalen DeBoer is right there, y'all. And he's only been at his place a couple years. So he feels like he's the most movable in many people's eyes. Doesn't mean he is, just that's what people think. So I think he's going to be around. I think he's going to be there. I think he's going to embrace the grind. I think he's going to win a championship at Alabama. I really believe that. I think he's that good. There's a reason why Penn State wanted him as their number one candidate. There's a reason why Michigan has given him a blank check, because he's that good, y'all. We're not just making this up. He's that good. I mean, to win as many close games as they've won this year with the challenges they've had and the injuries they've had and the how thin the roster is and the guys that have been out of the lineup and all stuff, like, man, he's coached his tail off this year. So he's that good. And everybody knows it, except for a small, very, very vocal percentage of the fan base. He's the real deal. So I think he's going to be back. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think they'll go out and I think they'll play great on Friday. I think they had a really good chance to win that game, and we're going to talk about it extensively throughout today's show. We're also going to talk about the other playoff games throughout today's show as well. We have Chris Lowe coming up 8 o'clock. He's going to help update us with what's gone on with the coaching carousel, some of the options that are on the table for Michigan in the event in which Kalen DeBoer, they finally stopped pursuing him. He's the only guest we have, so we will take lots of phone calls as well. 888. Gosh, I always do this. 866. I don't know why I have this block of my brain with this phone number. 800-239-9569. I always say 973-3579. That's my old show, like on Sirius. I don't know why that number just rolls off my head so much, but here it's 800-239-9569. So only one guest today, which means lots of telephone calls, and we can take it anywhere. You want to talk some hoop? Great. You want to talk some transfer portal? There are some big names in the transfer portal, guys. But the funniest thing about it is some of the biggest names are not the most attractive prospects, according to my sources, which is wild. So we'll talk a little transfer portal. We're going to tell you about some teams that are in the transfer portal business for a quarterback in particular. And we're going to talk about the other playoff games, like a reference. We're going to hit that as well. So a lot that we need to get to here on Jocks 94.5. It's just me. Cole's out today and tomorrow. I think he's out tomorrow as well. So we'll be here for the next 6 hours between 3 today, 3 tomorrow, breaking everything down in the world of college football and help you make some sense of what's coming up this weekend. When we come back, tell you about a bowl game that was played last night. What? A bowl game on Tuesday? Yep, and 2 more today. We'll tell you who next on Mac and Cube. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning on Jock 94.5, nearing the bottom of the hour here in the 7 o'clock hour. And honestly, like a lot of people, I think are kind of amazed at the coaching search. You got to realize there's a lot of smoke, and you got to be a little careful following the smoke all the time, because a lot of it's agents playing games and trying to manufacture leverage and stuff like that. Like there are a lot of times where guys actually aren't candidates, but an agent's just doing the best they can to maximize the deal at the current place, which makes all the sense in the world. Let's go to Steve in Montgomery. Steve, how are you, my friend?
Doing well, Greg. My question is, why wouldn't Michigan go after, before they went after Alabama's coach, why wouldn't they go after Clemson's coach? He's won a national championship. He's been very successful, and there's a whole lot of people that are not happy with him, and he's going back and forth with the fan base. That seems to me would be a quick fix. What do you think?
Well, here's my thing, and I love Dabo Swinney as a person. I do. I've got a good relationship with him. I'd even go as far as to say, like, we're friendly, you know, but let's be real. How has Dabo fared in the modern era, in the NIL era? It hasn't been great. In the transfer portal era, like when you look at and you take a step back and kind of survey, yes, you can acknowledge Hall of Famer, 2 national championships. No one's going to be able to shoot holes in his resume, right, Steve? Like no one can do that. But if I were to ask you right now, is the arrow on Dabo Swinney pointing up or is it pointing down?
Well, right now it's pointing down, but if he went to Michigan and he had a whole lot of NIL money and a lot more resources than he has at Clemson, it certainly could point up.
Could, but I don't think Dabo Swinney right now is. I'll just say this: no one's going after Dabo Swinney right now. That's just not the case. One, because there are aspects of his deal that are very prohibitive, I would imagine, from a buyout standpoint. I haven't looked at it. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a contract guy. I have other people look at things and come back to me with what they find. But I know he's making a boatload of money, and I would imagine the buyout just to get to the negotiation table with Dabo Swinney is significant. And 2, he has not shown a willingness nor an ability to effectively adapt to the modern landscape. And with all due respect to Clemson football, they've been consistently underachieving for the last few years. And I understand, well, he's done a lot. He's got skins on the wall. He's all that can be true. And like I said, this does not at all fracture his candidacy as a college football Hall of Famer. This guy is a first ballot Hall of Fame coach. And what he's done at Clemson since 2009 is nothing short of remarkable. But he took a team that had arguably best or second best roster in the ACC this year and went 7-5. The year before at, I don't know, when they were actually in a pretty good spot, their roster's still pretty good. Not what it once was, but still pretty good. I mean, they have legitimate first-round picks along their defensive line. They have a quarterback that has at times been a little streaky, but still a pretty good player, talented kid, 5-star kid coming out of high school. I'm not sure he ever quite lived up to his 5-star potential, but pretty legit. Did win the ACC last year, but was completely uncompetitive against Georgia in the first game of the season. Got beat fairly convincingly by Louisville there at home at the beginning of November and lost to Texas in the playoff. So, hey, 10-4 season, nothing to be ashamed of. They also won the ACC championship. They were 9-4 the year before that. And in that 9-4 year, they lost to Florida State, Duke by 21, Miami in overtime, NC State by 7. At one point, they were 4-4. They've finished really strong the last few years, but it hasn't really been the same. So I don't think that Dabo Swinney is a guy that a lot of people are just beating the door down to have a conversation with. But I can understand why, based on what he's accomplished in his career, why you would think he'd be an attractive candidate. I love the guy to death. I think he's exactly where he needs to be. Frankly, Dabo Swinney at Michigan, I'm not sure there could be more oil and water. That doesn't feel like a fit to me. And I think Michigan is a bit of a pretentious crowd.
Bit?
And when I say a bit, I mean a whole lot. I don't see that as a fit. I think Dabo, too, kind of the us against the world. I'm the walk-on mentality. Like, I'm going to punch up. Like, he's got a chip on his shoulder that I greatly admire and respect. Michigan is the antithesis of the chip on the shoulder mentality. Like, they are they look down upon everybody else in some ways. Not in a bad way. It's just the nature of their program. So I think Dabo's exactly where he needs to be. Blue collar, chip on the shoulder program, us against the world. Nobody believes in little old Clemson type of place, and I think that's ideal for where he's at. So no, I don't think he's a candidate anywhere right now. But maybe down the road, he wants a fresh start at some point, starts over. He's still young. He references that every time he gets asked a couple tough questions. And he got all mad earlier this year saying, well, y'all can go and fire me. I'll go and coach somewhere else, win somewhere else. I fully believe he would. It's just he's got to show a willingness and a capability of adapting to the modern landscape, which has not really happened very well the last couple of years. All right, take a quick break. But before we do, I want to tell you about the bowl game last night because we had some in-state action. Guys. And it's not often when you get two teams from the same state playing on Tuesday in December outside of, Super 7, which I think is in December. Definitely in December.
It depends on how the calendar falls.
Oh, come on. It's definitely December. But the Jacksonville State Gamecocks knock off the Troy Trojans last night. Both teams playing in their 14th game of the year. Both teams competed in their conference championship. Jack State, of course, came up short to Kennesaw. Troy came up short to JMU. But an entertaining game last night, by the way. A game that came down to the wire, a game that came down to the final seconds, where a last-second Hail Mary attempt by Troy fell incomplete. But it was a highly entertaining football game on a Tuesday, and one which Jack State could feel good about it. And how about Charles Kelly? Like, man, first year, got to give a lot of credit, man. Like, first year, you have some great moments. You lose a couple of close games. I mean, they lost 4 games this year by a combined 15 points, by a combined 28 points. 5 games this year. Sorry. 7 points to UCF, so that's 7. 7 points to Georgia Southern, that's 14. 7 points to Southern Miss on the road, that's 21. 6 points at FIU, that's 27. 4 points by Kennesaw State, that's 31. So 5 losses by a combined 31 points. Not bad for a first-year head coach. And you got to give a lot of credit to them because they lost some key pieces off last year's team, and they've clearly had an established identity. And I tell you what, their running back can go now. Goodness gracious, he could play. Really enjoy watching that group and have really enjoyed covering them all season long. So congrats to Jack State. Disappointing finish for Jared Parker, the head coach of Troy. They had a really nice year. I mean, they really did. They had a very, very nice year, and it just didn't really materialize there at the very end. But to get to the postseason, to get to their conference championship game, nothing to be ashamed of. So hopefully for them, the arrow continues to be pointing up. All right, when we come back, we got 2 more bowl games tonight, but we have the availability report for Friday. It's out, ladies and gentlemen, and there are a couple key pieces for Alabama where it is looking like they are bound to return. We'll tell you who next on Mac and Cube. Why is it that as the world's changed here in college football, and we now have access to availability reports and all this other stuff, why is it that, like, I can't wait for Wednesday night? Normally when games are on Saturday, the injury report is released on Wednesday night. And, like, I'm not on social media, so it becomes a little tougher than it once was. Like, I have to go actively look it up. But the last thing I do before I go to bed on Wednesday night is check the availability report. So, like, last night, I just couldn't wait to get everything done for the day, tuck the kids in, say goodnight, give my wife a kiss, and then roll over before I go to bed and check the injury report. I know you're probably thinking he's crazy. And you might be right. Probably more right than you know. But I can't help it. It's become appointment viewing for me. And we have, because there is a game on Friday night, ladies and gentlemen, a big one and I will break it down in its entirety a little later on in the day. We'll, of course, break it down on Friday. We'll break it down tomorrow. We'll do a little at a time. I'm going to get into a few things that I've come across here in the last couple of weeks. I called that game between Bama and Oklahoma. I called 4 Oklahoma games. I called 4 Alabama games. Of course, no. I've watched every snap that Alabama's played since 2006. So, yes, that's sick. I understand. But I am very, very much looking forward to this matchup, and there's a lot of reasons why I think that there's some compelling things to take into account when evaluating this. But let's start with the availability report, which was put out yesterday. We will start with the Oklahoma Sooners. So as of this moment, Oklahoma is going to be without Gentry Williams, who is a starting corner, has been in and out of the lineup most of the year. Hasn't really played the last month of the season thereabouts. So his absence, while significant, cannot be overcome. They've already been able to overcome his absence at times. So he's going to be out in this game. Kendall Dolby also going to be out. Pretty versatile player. Played a little corner this year as well. So he's a good piece. I think he's a good piece. Him being out is not the most impactful, but I think he's a good player. I like that kid a lot. He played kind of their cheetah position last year, had a real bad injury, and it just hasn't really been there for him this year. But here's where it starts to get a little interesting. There's a couple more players that are out. None, though, that would be overwhelmingly impactful. Their center, Jake Michaela, is listed as questionable. That's potentially significant. He's been out for a little bit. He's been a little banged up. As a result, they've had to go with a freshman from time to time, which can be overcome, but is challenging for sure. But now their right tackle, who was at one point a freshman, in Ryan Foje, is now looking like it's going to be Derek Simmons. He's going to be back. He's a fifth-year senior. That's helpful because you have a true freshman on the other side and Michael Fasusi, super talented young man, still a freshman nonetheless. So their offensive line is looking like it's going to be a little bit more intact than it was going into this game. So that's big for Oklahoma because they've been without a couple key pieces. One other item of interest is that Javonte Barnes, their running back, he's likely going to be back. He's listed as probable right now. So Javonte Barnes hasn't played a ton this year and has been kind of passed up on the depth chart, partly because of injury. But he was a guy coming into the season you felt really good about. He has not played since the Auburn game, which ironically is the 4th game of the year, but he was the starting running back to start the season. I mean, he was their number one guy, and now he's listed as probable. And this is a guy last year that was quite good for Oklahoma. And remember, this has been a team that has struggled to run the football. They have challenges running the football. We'll get into what I think their game plan might look like here in the next hour, but Javonte Barnes potentially being up is significant because there was part of me that was wondering, well, he played 4 games. He's been banged up. Is he going to come back? Does he enter the portal? Is he redshirting? How is that going to all work out? Well, him now being listed as probable, maybe he will go. And now on to Alabama. The big one being out right now is LT Overton. Guys, I can just tell you right now, it's unlikely he's back this year. Listed as an illness. I've gotten more details on it. It's probably unlikely. If he's back, it's by the grace of God. That'd be amazing, right? I want that for him. He's a great kid. He's got a bright future. And hopefully he can get back as soon as humanly possible. But he's out for this week, and I would imagine he's probably going to be out for the remainder of the playoffs, barring something unforeseen. And if he is all of a sudden available for the Rose Bowl or beyond that, then amazing news. Great, great stuff. So would not plan on him being available anytime soon. The rest are to be expected. Guys have been out for quite some time. But the good news here is that Josh Cuevas has been upgraded to questionable. That's really, really good. Foot injury, had a setback in practice, forced him to miss some time down the stretch. His presence is enormous. Enormous, guys, especially in a game like this, because guess who's not on Oklahoma's injury report? R. Mason Thomas. R. Mason Thomas is Oklahoma's best pass rusher. He got injured and strained a hamstring against Tennessee, didn't play against Alabama the last time. And Alabama, remember, it was a challenge to block that group, especially in the second half. They struggled a little bit blocking that group because the defensive line is amazing. Well, now they're going to likely have their best speed rusher back in R. Mason, which changes protection, which changes matchups, which changes how you want to try to maybe slide the protection in some cases, what have you. So Cuevas being back is enormous because he can help at the end of the line of scrimmage without taking himself out as a pass catcher option out of the backfield. And with all the pressures, with all the blitzes, Cuevas in a quick dump out into the flat could be significant.
You remember missing that.
They've been missing that big time.
A good bit.
And over the middle.
Yeah.
Think about the first touchdown that Cuevas caught against Oklahoma. They went with a little surprise snap. Everyone's looking back to the sideline. They go quick snap. Oklahoma's still trying to get the play in. Cuevas sneaks right across on a shallow route, hits him, runs into the end zone, scores a touchdown. So his presence, I think, I don't want to put a point value on it, but he might be worth 6 points. Like, he's that good. And is that underrated? I think he's arguably the most underrated player on the entire team. Because if you look at his productivity numbers, his efficiency numbers within the tight end room, compared to all the best tight ends in college football, he's a top 10 tight end. Pretty good place to start. And I don't think people view him that way. And he's also missed some time. He was top 5 tight end prior to the injury. But some guys' efficiency numbers have gone up while he hasn't been available. So him being back is significant. And one other guy that is no longer on the injury report, Jam Miller. Fingers crossed. Because if you look at Jam Miller and how he's played this year, people will say, oh, well, you know, I mean, it's this, it's that. It's not great here. It's not great there. He's not crazy explosive. I can tell you what Jam Miller's great at. Protection. He doesn't bust protections. He doesn't bust plays. Remember last time we were on the show, we went through a play, I believe it was play 91 in the SEC championship game where a young running back ran the wrong play. He was blocking when he was supposed to be receiving an inside zone handoff to the left-hand side. Well, Jam Miller's not going to do that. You know what Jam Miller's also great at? Catching the ball out of the backfield. You know what could be really helpful in a game like this? Screens. Because of blitzes. You know what's also really helpful in a game like this? Knowing a back what his protection assignments are. And Jam Miller does not bust when it comes to things like that. So him potentially being back, I don't think we're totally out of the woods yet, right? Still a game, still a practice to be had today before they travel tomorrow. But him not being on the injury report is a big, big green light, thumbs up. I feel like doing a cartwheel in the studio right now. So very big news off the injury report, and I think a lot to be excited about. Let's go to Mailman. Mailman, what you got?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you guys are doing?
Come on, Mailman. You never call anymore. You don't write. You don't text. You don't have any time for us anymore, Mailman.
Hey, well, I'm going to definitely have to do better, guys. Like I said, we've been knowing you guys for a long time, have come out to some of the kickoff parties and everything. So we think the world of you, Greg, since you've become a dad now and got a couple of additions to your family. So kudos to you on that. And just wanted to give a couple of key points for the recipe to beat Oklahoma on Friday.
Give it to us, mailman. Appreciate you, brother.
All right, yes, sir. I just have always believed there's nothing written in stone that says you have to run the same plays that the team saw you last time. Basically, what I'm saying, the element of surprise. You guys said something a few months ago when Alabama was shifting some players around and plugging guys in, and I believe Cole said that he was excited that Alabama was actually giving guys an opportunity that played hard during the week and earned the right to get on the field. And all I'm saying, Greg, is for Alabama to win Friday night is don't become predictable. You might even throw some packages out there for your backup quarterbacks to be on the field at the same time, not as though you're getting ready to pull Ty Simpson, but just to give the defense something else to look at and consider. I love what you said about Jam Miller. It does matter in a game like this. Oklahoma's not going to score a lot of points. So if Alabama could put 25 to 28 points on the board, I believe that's enough to beat Oklahoma. What you guys think about that?
They put 25 to 28 on the board. Keep the ball, put it in the Bryant Museum, because that is one heck of a performance against a defense like that's given up about 13 a game. Good news is they put up 400-plus yards of offense last time around. So, hey, we're going to break that game down in its entirety. I'm also in the next hour going to tell you how you approach a game like this. What's the mindset going into a game like this? Because, look, I played in a national championship, played in what was at that time a semifinal game against Florida in the SEC championship. I'll explain how you approach it in the next hour. But when we come back, take a quick break. Come back, Chris Lowe coming up in about 7 minutes to give you the most up-to-date information about the current coaching carousel. We'll do it next on Mac and Cube. Couple minutes away from Chris Lowe joining us here. Talk a little bit about the updated coaching carousel. Chris Lowe, he's all over it. And we know that the Alabama heat and humidity can be brutal, but don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable Trane cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand 11 consecutive years, and the official cooling partner here at Jocks. Find a comfort specialist near you at Trane.com. So make sure you go check out Trane. They're the best. The best. All right, when we come back, we got Chris Lowe, who will joining us here on Mac and Cube. Talk a little coaching carousel and what it might look like and how it could all shake out next in hour number 2 of McElroy and Cubelic in the morning on Jocks 94.5.